guys, so today I have swatches of the OPI Breakfast at Tiffany's collection for winter 2015. There are 18 polishes here. So there are 12 that are just regular OPI polishes, and then there are 6 from the Infinite Shine line. Technically there's 17 because there is one crossover shade that goes between both formulas, but I have 18 polishes here to show you. These came from polishpick.com, so I will link that website down below so you can check these out, and I will get into the swatches. So starting with the Infinite Shine polishes, the first one is Girls Love Pearls, and this is a pearly white. So here's one coat. So this one is a bit sheer on the first coat, and the most obvious thing, because it is a pearl finish, it does have a lot of brush strokes. Good formula on it though, not too thick, not too thin, really easy to control. It doesn't run or pool down the sides of the nail at all. So here's 2 coats. This one is starting to build up, but I can still see my nail line pretty well, so I'm going to do a third. You can see those brush strokes do stay after it dries. You can sponge on the last coat though, and it will take those away. It'll give it kind of like a more even but almost like stippled look to it. Kind of just depends on which you prefer. So here's 3 coats. And this one does cover completely in 3. You want to try to be careful with that third coat that you do the brush strokes as straight as possible. And this one also dries pretty shiny as well, but because this is the Infinite Shine formula, I guess OPI recommends use with their top and base coat, their special Infinite Shine top and base coat. So there is 3 coats of Girls Love Pearls. The next polish is called I Believe In Manicures, and this is a light baby blue. This is the only polish that is available in both the Infinite Shine formula and the regular OPI formula. So here's one coat. So this is a little bit streaky on that first coat. This does have a much thinner formula than the last one. It wants to run a little bit down the sides of the nails, so you do have to be careful with it. So here's 2 coats. This one is still just a tiny bit streaky and uneven. There's not really obvious streaks, but there are some darker spots where it's not quite the same thickness on the whole nail. So I am going to do a third. And this one also dries pretty shiny, but like I said, Infinite Shine, they recommend you use it with the top and base coat. So here's 3 coats. And this one does cover in 3, though I think if you're not like super picky, you'd probably be fine with 2. And again, this dries very shiny on its own. So there is 3 coats of the Infinite Shine I Believe In Manicures. The next polish is called Can't Tame a Wild Thing, and this is a bright orangey red. So here's one coat. I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera, but you can still see the nail line pretty well on this one. On the first coat, because it is more of a jelly, kind of sheer-ish, squishy looking polish. Great formula though, it's not too thin, it doesn't run down the sides of the nail, and it covers really evenly. So here's 2 coats. And this one, it doesn't change the color at all, but you can still see the nail line. Like I said, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on camera, but you can still see it pretty well because it is a jelly. So I'm going to go ahead and do a third coat, but I'm not sure that that third coat is actually going to cover the nail line up just because of the finish of this polish. So here's 3 coats. So 3 coats does start to cover that nail line up to the point where you're the only one that's going to notice it. But it is still there, so that's, I guess, something to be aware of. And this one also dries very shiny. So there is 3 coats of Can't Tame a Wild Thing. The next polish is called Ring the Buzzer again, and this is a darker, not super dark, but darker red. So here's one coat. This one is just a little bit uneven and a bit lighter than it should be based on what's in the bottle on the first coat, because this also is a little bit more of a jelly finish. But because this color is so much darker than the last one, it will cover all the way. So here's 2 coats. And this one does cover completely in 2, and it does match the color in the bottle. Great formula on this one as well. So there is 2 coats of Ring the Buzzer again. The next polish is called Party at Holly's, and this is a very dark, kind of brownish red. So here's one coat. So this one does have some lighter spots and some streaks on that first coat. Great formula on this one. It's a little bit on the thicker side. I don't think it's too thick. I actually think it's perfect. But it is thicker than I think any of the other ones so far. So here's 2 coats. And this one does cover completely in 2, and I have the coffee shakes, so you'll have to forgive me for that. Also dries super shiny and has a little bit of a kind of squishy jelly look to it, although it's so dark that doesn't really come off super well after that second coat. So there is 2 coats of Party at Holly's. The next polish is called I'll Have a Manhattan, which is a dark plummy purple. So here's 1 coat. This one actually covers really well on that first coat, just a little bit streaky. And this also has that bit of a thicker formula. Like I said, I really like it, but it might be thick for some people. So here's 2 coats. And this one does cover completely in 2. This is one of those colors that's almost black. It's super, super dark, but just barely purple enough for you to be able to tell that it's not completely black. So there is 2 coats of I'll Have a Manhattan. The next polish is called Breakfast at Tiffany's, and this is a very light, almost like bone-colored off-white with a gold shimmer, and then it's got these little sparkly, maybe silver particles in there as well. So here's 1 coat. And this one is a bit sheer and a bit streaky on that first coat. Good formula though. It's a little bit on the thin side, but not super difficult to control. So here's 2 coats. This one is still a bit sheer on that second coat, so it will need a third. It does dry completely matte though, which I actually really like because I think it looks really cool with that shimmer. So here's 3 coats. And this one does cover completely in 3. I do feel like once the second and third coats on this one dried, maybe I didn't give them enough time. I thought I did. They didn't dry quite as matte as that first coat did. I know that doesn't make any sense, but maybe I just didn't give them enough time. So there is 3 coats of Breakfast at Tiffany's. The next polish is called Sunrise Bedtime, and this is a light pink holographic micro glitter in a clear base. And I'm swatching this over this periwinkle blue color from the China Glaze holiday collection, which I'll be posting soon. So here is 1 coat. This doesn't quite get opaque on its own in 3 coats. I do have a picture of it in 3 coats, but I definitely think it's more of a topper. It's not thick at all. The glitter distributes evenly, and you don't have to do too much manipulation to get it spread out. And of course it will dry textured because it is a micro glitter. So there is 1 coat of Sunrise Bedtime. The next polish is I Believe in Manicures. This is the regular OPI version of the Infinite Shine one that I showed earlier. This one is like $2 or $3 less than the other one, but the other one, when used with the Infinite Shine top and base coat, is supposed to last a little bit longer. I personally haven't experienced any longer wear with the Infinite Shine, but I know some people have. It really just depends on your body chemistry, what you do with your hands during the day, etc. So here is 1 coat. This one is also a little bit streaky on that first coat. The formulas between this one and the Infinite Shine version are pretty much the same, so you don't get anything extra there. This is a little bit thin. It does want to run down the sides of the nail if you're not careful. So here's 2 coats. This one is also just a tiny, tiny bit sheer, a little bit streaky, a few light spots on that second coat. And this also dries pretty shiny. So here's 3 coats. And this one covers completely in 3. And this might be user error. I might have been more heavy-handed with the last one with the Infinite Shine version. But I do feel like this one needs the third coat much less than the Infinite Shine version did. Once that one dried, it looked a little bit worse than it did when it was still wet. But this one looks pretty good still on that second coat. So I think if you're not super picky, or if you do a little bit thicker of a coat, you could easily get away with 2 on this one. So there is 3 coats of I Believe in Manicures. The next polish is called Champagne for Breakfast, and this is a silver holographic micro glitter in a clear base. And I am layering this one over I Believe in Manicures. So here is 1 coat. This one is much more sparse than the other glitter in the collection. Definitely does not get opaque on its own. I do have a picture of it in 3 coats though that you can see. But this one is definitely more of a topper. I think with the pink one you could probably sponge it on to get it opaque on its own, but I don't think you could do that with this one. So there is 1 coat of Champagne for Breakfast. The next polish is called 5 and 10, and this is kind of a champagne colored metallic. It has a little bit of a gold shimmer in there, and then there's these little flakes. Some of them seem to be a little holographic, and other ones almost reflect a pink color. So here is one coat. And this one is a bit sheer on that first coat. Good formula on this one, not too thick or too thin. So here's 2 coats. You can still see the nail line pretty well on this one on 2 coats, so I'm going to do a third. This dries pretty smooth for having those little flakes in it. And it's also a lot sparklier than it looks like it would be when you just look at it in the bottle. So here's 3 coats. And this one does cover completely in 3. Because those are flakes and not actual glitter, it won't be difficult to remove, but the flakes are really light, so they'll probably stick to your skin a little bit. So there is 3 coats of 5 and 10. The next polish is called Apartment for 2, and this is a medium pink cream. So here is 1 coat. And this one is just a little bit sheer on that first coat, but it does cover pretty evenly. Great formula on this one. Really, really smooth, easy to apply. So here is 2 coats. And this one does cover completely in 2. It does dry pretty shiny, but I'd recommend a top coat regardless. So there is 2 coats of Apartment for 2. The next polish is called Meet My Decorator, and this is in orangey red cream. This is actually very, very close to Can't Tame a Wild Thing from the Infinite Shine line. It is a little bit actually more orange when you stick them together, but they are really close. So here is 1 coat. This one covers pretty well on the first coat. You can still see a bit of the nail line. Another difference between this one and Can't Tame a Wild Thing is this is definitely more of a cream finish, where the other one is much more jelly. So this one you will be able to get opaque on its own, where the Infinite Shine one still had a bit of nail line after 3 coats. So here's 2 coats. And this one does cover completely in 2. And this one also dries shiny. I do think if you don't care too much about the long wear and the Infinite Shine or a little bit of a disparity between the colors, this is definitely a better bet than the Infinite Shine one. Can't Tame a Wild Thing, color-wise anyway. Unless you actually really want the jelly finish, then obviously go for that one. And this one's cheaper too. So there is 2 coats of Meet My Decorator. The next polish is called Fire Escape Rendezvous, and this is a red metallic base with a little bit of, it almost looks like it's gold, but there's so much red over it, it's hard to tell, micro glitter, and then these metallic red flakes as well. So here is 1 coat. This one covers pretty well on the first coat. You could probably easily get away with 1 coat with this one. I'm going to do 2 because I just have a few streaks. So I don't know if you can see this, but the brush on this is like thick with the flakes. Like the flakes are stuck into the brush. It makes it really puffy. The flakes stick out of the end of the brush and makes this really difficult to get a smooth line on your nails, really difficult not to hit the skin. It's not easy to apply just because there's so much of those flakies stuck inside the brush. So here's 2 coats. And this one covers completely in 2, and it does take some manipulation, a little bit of swirling to try to get a decent amount of those flakies on the nail. And it dries matte, which I think looks really cool in a metallic finish, but it's so lumpy from the flakes that I top coated it. So there is 2 coats of Fire Escape Rendezvous. The next polish is called Got the Mean Reds, which is almost like the perfect red cream shade. So here is 1 coat. And this one is almost completely opaque in 1 coat. You can just see the nail line a little bit. If you're not picky, I think it'd be fine with 1 coat because you're probably the only person that's going to notice it. Good formula on this one as well. And this is about the time in the video where my nails are going to be pretty much stained red for the rest of the video because I've swatched so many reds. So here's 2 coats. And this one covers completely in 2. Like I said, it was really, really close to 1. I could just see my nail line a little tiny bit. I think the majority of people would probably be able to get away with just 1 coat with this one. So there is 2 coats of Got the Mean Reds. The next polish is called Can't Read Without My Lipstick, and this is another really dark red. This one is a little bit lighter and a little bit more red than Party at Holly's, which is a bit more brown. So here is 1 coat. And this one is a bit light on that first coat. And that last polish really did me in for the stains. Great formula on this one. So here's 2 coats. And 2 coats does cover completely, and it makes the polish much darker. And this is another one that dries super shiny. So there is 2 coats of Can't Read Without My Lipstick. The next polish is called Rich in Brazilian, and this is a really dark purpley base with a ton of pink and slightly reddish and purple shimmer in it. So here is one coat. And this one is a little bit sheer on that first coat. And the shimmer stands out really nicely in this one. So here is 2 coats. And 2 coats covers completely and darkens this up quite a bit. And it does dry a little bit dull, but that shimmer in there is really small, so it's going to dry smooth and it's not going to be difficult to remove at all. So there is 2 coats of Rich in Brazilian. And the last polish is called Black Dress Not Optional, and this is a black with a silver shimmer that runs throughout it, a very subtle silver shimmer. So here is one coat. This one is a little bit streaky on that first coat. The shimmer in here almost makes it look like more of like a black pearl-ish color or a little bit gunmetal. The formula on this one is okay. It's a little bit thin. I do have a little bit of a harder time controlling it because of how thin it is, but it's not terrible. So here's 2 coats. And this one covers completely in 2. There really aren't any brush strokes through the shimmer in this, which is nice. If you do have a few, they do go away when it dries. So there is 2 coats of Black Dress Not Optional. So surprisingly, I think my favorite was actually Breakfast at Tiffany's. It didn't look like anything special in the bottle, but once it dried matte, I really, really liked the way that it looked. I liked that it was more like finer glitter than like a frosty shimmer or something like that. Really, really liked this one. Breakfast at Tiffany's is my favorite. So that is the OPI holiday collection for 2016. Again, I will link polish pick down below where you guys can check those out. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later. Bye.